Alrighty. Hello, hello, hello. This is Corey Thompson from Dice Tower Dish Above Board TV, Rose Gauntlet, Play to Z, etc.
And this is the Podfather of Gaming, the bespectacled Podfather of Gaming, Stephen Bonacore. And you are listening to Board Games Insider, episode 389. And we're recording this unusually on a Thursday. It's
Yep.
October 2nd, 2025. Board Games Insider, powered by Board Game Geek.
It just
Hey.
it's just a creepy voice. Like I
Yeah.
feel
Well, I'm a creep.
dirty.
I'm a creeper. So literally, we had everything set up for Ignacy to be here again. Obviously, we're all supposed to be here every week. That goes without saying. But he's sick again, and he's actually said this time that he is literally going to be changing his lifestyle so he doesn't get sick as much.
I think
Well,
he's sick still. He's really having a lot of trouble shaking this flu. It is the middle of flu season in
yeah,
Poland, and as
yeah.
we know, the weather in Poland is, for lack of a better adjective, Slavic.
And so both Bonacore and Thompson gave Ignacy advice on like what to do to stop getting sick. And Dr. Corey Thompson, with multiple medical and biology degrees, gave him certain type of advice. And Bonacore said, drink beer. I I don't know. I think my advice is at least as
No,
good, if not better. I don't get sick.
no, no,
we
no,
we won't talk about other people spewing nonsense about
no,
no, we can't go there about medical things. We won't go there.
no.
Corey, please tell me what is happening in Corey A.B.E. Thompson, B.S.M.P.H. Ph.D. D.V.M. A.V.M.A. C.V.M.A. N.S.V.A.'s life. That's all of his degrees, by the
Wow.
way. I
Nobody's,
ever said that.
yeah,
You wrote
nobody's
it.
ever used all my degrees.
I
Um,
typed it.
it's been an exciting week. I've had a really good time. I had a group of Los Angeles influencers at the house, which was really a blast. I did this last year. We had a full house of 20 something influencers last year, and we've extended the tradition. And we played games, and it was such a good time. I played a near final edition of Chicken Fried Dice, which is a real-time animals running a food truck, dice rolling fiasco, and loved it. It's so fun. By a good friend of mine, Ashwan, from Seattle, and it's a great game. We also had early copies of Sanctuary, which we played a full game. I had played a little bit of Sanctuary back at Gen Con and enjoyed it, but this was a full game. I have some feelings. I still think it's a great game. I think that it's a little long with five players and it gets a little tedious. It stays a little over its welcome, but still a fantastic game. I had a great time with it and I did terribly.
Yeah.
Uh, Played the new all play game Alibis, which was really fun. It was kind of like Codenames meets Clue, where you're trying to use Codenames style wordplay to hint at two different places to cooperatively figure out a who done it. What's the missing card in the deck? Played the dice placement game Australis, which I mentioned was a really hot ticket item at CuseCon in Syracuse. We had a copy at the house. And one of the big ones, which I really thought was amazing, is we played the Taskmaster board game. If people don't know, Taskmasters is a panel show in Britain. It's on its 20th season airing now. I've been a super fan of Taskmaster since season zero, which was a presentation at the Edinburgh Comedy Festival. And the board game is absolutely perfect for a board game house like mine. It's almost scavenger hunty. People have to try things. I don't want to spoil anything. The board game is available on the Taskmaster website for ridiculously cheap. It was like $14, and it has a huge amount of play in it. But in one particular task, I had to use my body to mime out certain things, and it completely broke down because the amount of noise that my body was making in terms of cracks and pops and snaps derailed the guessing entirely. Everyone just cracked up.
Very,
So
very
yes,
cool.
I'm all. And then finally, getting ready for Essen. I am leaving in just over a week. I'm leaving on October 12th for a whirlwind European tour. I'm going to be in Reykjavik for about a week, Helsinki for about a week. I'm going to be in Essen for about a week, and then I'm going to be in Brussels for about a week. If any of those overlie with where you're going to be, if you want to get together, if you live in these areas, things like that, drop me a line. I'm pretty easy to find, and let's try to get together. And certainly at Essen, both this
Yeah.
weird guy over here and myself will be at Essen,
And
and
the hopefully
Ignacy,
healthy Ignacy.
and we love saying
Yeah.
hi. So
Yeah.
absolutely love it.
We really and in all seriousness, we need to schedule our recording while we're there together, all three of us sitting together.
Absolutely.
It's always fun. And maybe, and this depends on if Ignacy has the time, we can do a meetup. And usually we use his booth as the meetup place, though I mean, Play to Z will be a little hard too because it's a much, much, much smaller booth. So, but on that note, I leave. I leave. All right, right now, as you can see, first of all, for the first time wearing glasses that
You're in a blank white
anybody has ever seen me probably wearing glasses, certainly on this podcast. Corey's probably seen me. I wake up in the morning when I'm, well, like at his house or something like that. I'll put my glasses on, but I always wear contacts. But I'm having a little problem with my eye this morning and this last few days, so I'm bespectacled. I wanted to say that with Ignacy here, give him another
That's
vocabulary word.
really good.
It's a good
Yeah.
word. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm
It
not.
is.
I'm fairly.
And you
I'm
look
fairly.
fine in your spectacles.
I'm I'm fairly educated. Really, I am. Anyway, erudite, you might say erudite. Oh
Ooh.
yes, I do love vocabulary words.
You are both
Um,
glib and loquacious.
and I'm in my bougie hotel room. Where am I? In Hollywood, Hollywood, California. I'm drinking this bougie coffee from my Nespresso machine in my bougie hotel room with Ms. Paula Milano sitting over there on the bed. So I've turned this so you can't see her, and she's smiling over there. And why the heck are we here? In Hollywood, California. First of all, we did a VIP tour. I mean, anybody can sign up. It's not like I'm a VIP, though I am. But we did a VIP tour of the Warner Brothers studio.
Nice.
Wow. Literally, wow. They treat you. I mean, it's not that expensive. It's expensive, but it's not like crazy. They treat you so well. And it was just the two of us. Not that it could have had up to like 12 people, I think, but that's the number of people that signed up at that time on this, odd day on a Tuesday, I guess it was. So they take you like throughout the entire lot, the back lot. You look into some of the sound stages. You don't actually go in. They give you a sit down fine dining lunch in the commissary where stars could show up. They didn't, but they could. There were some people in the back private rooms that I was trying, as I went to the bathroom, I was trying to like look in there. I said to Paula and the tour guide, I said, you know what? I'm going to go and go back to wardrobe because he looked at the wardrobe stuff too. I'm going to get a waiter's outfit and then go into one of those rooms and start cleaning tables just so I can see who's in there and stuff like that. Yeah, I was fanboying it. I hung out with, you know, George Clooney and Tom Cruise's spots. They're parking spots. They were right there in front of the building. So I took pictures of their parking spots. The guy said that yeah, he's seen Tom Cruise pull up in his motorcycle. He never pulls up in a car. He comes in a motorcycle when he needs to be on set or at the studio. And then we had an all-day tour of Hollywood Hills, Beverly Hills, the Hollywood itself, LA, all the surrounding areas. Really nice. What was that, Paula? Santa Monica. Yep, yep. The Griffith Observatory is here. Very cool.
Beautiful.
Rodeo Drive, baby. That is the epitome of people who can spend too much money on their stuff. It was just really cool. And then looking at all the stars on the Walk of Fame, it's just a lot of fun. This area, there's so much to do, so many great restaurants and things like that. We ate at Musso and Frank's. Have you ever heard of that place?
No.
The oldest restaurant in LA. It opened in 1919, so
Nice.
it celebrated its 110th, 15th, 16th year. It's amazing. Very cool, very classy, but not over the top, not even that expensive. Just a classy, cool place, right on on the main drag. Um, so so we're here only for the 4 nights, and then tomorrow we get on BGG at sea, Western Mexico. So we're going to be going
Nice.
to Cabo San Lucas, Puerto Vallarta, and Mazatlan. That's it. Those three ports with a bunch of days sailing with everybody else. I don't know if it's 100, 200 people on this particular cruise. Jeff Anderson, of course, running it. So when we're not off the ship doing cool things, we will be gaming in the conference center. So I love doing these trips with the gamers. Then over to Essen. I leave. Oh goodness, I don't have the day I get to the Netherlands, but Zev and I and a couple of European friends are going to do some escape rooms in Amsterdam, and then we're going to get down to Essen. And I wanted to announce a couple of things about me in Essen and Play 2Z in Essen. Play 2Z's booth is Hall 5, F115, and I have scheduled appearances. And I promise that anybody who reminds me, because I'll probably forget sometimes, I will give you a little free gift, like one of my coasters or something
Wow.
else really cool. So anybody who shows up and I don't remember, remind me to give you something. But here's my schedule, and I will be on Friday from 12:30 p.m. to 1:30. I will be at the Play to Z booth. And on Saturday from 12 to 1 p.m., I'll be at the Play to Z booth. And by the way, you can also see Shut Up and Sit Down at the Play to Z booth. And Matt Leacock is going to be there because he's promoting Animal Rescue Team, which is going to be the Play to Z, the big
Fantastic.
release there. And if you don't know Matt, if you've never met Matt, what a kind, gentle person. He's
Oh,
just
he's
just a nice guy.
wonderful.
And of course, the Shut Up and Sit Down guys are hysterical. So come see the Shut Up and Sit Down guys, Matt Leacock, and especially me at the Play to Z booth. I hope to see you there. After that is BGG Con, followed by a special. I came out of nowhere, trip over to Corey's house in Napa Valley to drink bougie wines and act really classy. Maybe I don't know if it's classy or just whatever. We're gonna
Oh, it's classy.
we're gonna have a good time there. Final thing, let me mention, please. Dogs of War, the second game in the Shut Up and Sit Down Presents line on GameFound has already. It's only the campaign's in a third of the way done-ish. 1,800 backers, $120,000 pledged, and this is a small-ish game, $50 game. That's the price. So you can go for 75 and get some alternate artwork and metal coins. So very inexpensive to buy in versus some of these massive things that you find on crowdfunding. And this game was number one on the BGG hotness for almost a week. And it's now down to number 3. Just today it came down, which is fine. Still a lot of people finding out about this amazing game. One of the favorite games of Shut Up and Sit Down. And that's why they put it in the line. Please go over to GameFound and check it out. Now, let's get to the event deck. All right, my friend. We have
Yes.
some breaking news, and
Absolutely.
this is in the area of investigative reporting that
We,
nobody
yep.
else has mentioned anywhere else. So you guys who are listening to my voice and Corey's voice in a moment, you're gonna be the first people to hear this. It is speculation.
Yes.
However, we have sources on a unidentified. What is the word? Anonymous. Anonymous
Let me
sources.
just go ahead and take it. So
Please.
this is under speculation, so we need to be a little careful. I was informed from visitors to the OP that on their visit, they were informed that the OP has cut many ties, if not all ties, with Hasbro. So the OP, a little bit of history. Of course, you know the OP was originally USAopoly, and the reason they had that name is they had many, many strong ties with Hasbro. They did licensed versions of Monopoly, Jenga, a whole bunch of titles.
Right.
So if you ever got the Bob's Burger version of this or the in all these weird versions that are out there, they
Right.
almost all were from the OP.
Right.
So, uh, an anonymous informant, a friend of mine, was told at OP headquarters that the OP had cut ties. I confirmed with an anonymous source at Hasbro that the contract with the OP has changed significantly, and monopoly variants are being stopped. So, from two different sources, we've heard that at the very least, the contract between Hasbro and the OP is significantly changed, and it sounds like they may have severed ties.
So that's interesting. So
Um,
it's two separate sources, one inside Hasbro, anonymous, and one uh, who was told by people inside the OP. So both of these
right.
sources are confirming each other's story, essentially.
Exactly. Now, we've reached out to the OP for comment, and we haven't received anything official as of yet. I suspect something this big, there's going to be an official statement coming down the pipe, but we don't have it yet. I just felt that waiting for it would, deprive our listeners of some of the inside info that we have.
Right. And it's fair that we make these statements because while we're giving some additional stuff, we have been told by an inside source here and an inside source there that this is happening. So we don't know all the details, but you're the first people to hear that amount of detail. This next one was very interesting, and again, this is uh news.
Yeah, this
New,
is from Ignacy, I believe.
no, it is not. This is from
No, this
Bonacor.
is this is from Bonacor. Bonacor did this?
This is sort of more
Wow.
investigative journalism, but technically, this is the person coming to me to say, "Hey, by the way, this has happened." And I guess that's similar to investigative journalism. So this is World Within Games is fulfilling their Kickstarter campaign for their game Era, a 30-minute civilization card game after 11 years. So I received a
Wow.
geek mail out of the blue from Steve Easton. I don't believe I know Steve, but he sent me this geek mail, and he thought this would be interesting information for our listeners, and I think it is. Initially, and then after he just stated that, I said, "Well, Steve, give me some more information about this because I really don't know this Kickstarter. I didn't know it was 11 years old, and you did not, fulfill it." So he said that initially they ran the Kickstarter more like a passion project than a business, and we've talked about that and how not good that could be. So we didn't have the systems or the people in place to move quickly. We underestimated how much planning and organization a project of this size really required. It was the scale of a major LCG release, but handled by one person and a few freelancers. Most critically, we underpriced nearly everything. We sold full 60 card expansion packs for about $3 each as part of a $74 all-in offered free US shipping and flat $15 international shipping. And as anybody
I
knows, every one of those statements there is not good.
I just want to put out that this Kickstarter did in fact run from October 2014 to November 6th, 2014.
2014. That's amazing. The shipping costs alone, they said, were $40,000. 10,000 in freight, 10,000 in tariffs, 20,000 in delivery. And he said
And
it's been
the total amount they brought in was $56,000.
right. It's been a long road, but we've successfully delivered a fantastic product, learned from the experience, and built the foundation to make Era thrive going forward. While we regret that this project did not ship on time, one positive outcome is that the extra years allowed for an extensive level of playtesting, refinement, and improvement beyond what originally planned. The version players received today is a far superior product. So, I mean, all in all, I mean, this is good news for anybody certainly who backed it. It's good news for this company who made good, right? I mean, a lot of companies walk away not making money, lost money, we walk away from it, which
Yeah.
that's the definition of crowdfunding. But this is good news, Steve. I have to say you made, and I'm not saying anything to you that obviously that you don't know. You made a lot of mistakes here, and we always have to tell people that when you get into the gaming industry, it can't be a, a fun thing only. It has to be run as a business. Whether you got a job in the industry, yeah, it's a job, it's a business. If you can have some fun, great. You want to be a publisher, you want to have fun, great. But if you're not running it as a business, you're doing it wrong. So I'm very happy for Steve and World Within Games. You can purchase this now on BackerKit. You can search for ERA, or Era, a 30-minute civilization card game. And you can look for that on backerkit.com. Even though it was a Kickstarter, I think it's now on BackerKit.com. You can probably go from Kickstarter and you'll get to BackerKit. That's probably it. He gave me a direct link, but it's too long. You'd never be able to write this down. Anyway, moving on. I thought that's very interesting. We have a bunch of stuff from GAMA. The first one is that Monica Rasso, who's the vice president of the board, is leaving GAMA after 5 years as the secretary. As secretary, I believe she was vice president, wasn't she? It's one thing says there, and one
She
thing.
was, yeah, one of the first elected board members after restructuring of the board in 2020
I'm
as
just trying.
secretary. She
Yeah.
is secretary.
Okay, and she's secretary. She served on the board for 5 years, and we're really sad to see that because I know Monica very, very well. I saw her actually very recently at that game event in Orlando. I did not question her about why she's leaving. She's very busy. She runs her own business, so these things happen. I know that she was part of the next story that we're going to talk about, and in materially taking GAMA from where it was, which was struggling on some level. It's been struggling for many years on some level, getting better, getting better, getting better. But now the GAMA board uh, is doing some things very interestingly. And let me read a little bit about this one also from ICV2. GAMA will now be named GAMA, the Tabletop Game Association. The new name reflects the fact that the majority of the membership consists of people and businesses that are involved in the tabletop industry and not necessarily other game manufacturing industries such as slots, pinball, and arcade games. So
Right.
it's a name change, but they've also come out with, and this information comes directly from Board Game Wire, our good buddy over there. Mike is doing this one. They've unveiled a 10-year plan to literally become the epicenter of global tabletop gaming industry. And of course, it renamed itself, as I mentioned.
Well, the rename I think was long due because you've probably run into the same thing when you talk about gamma. Someone inevitably says, "Well, what does it actually stand for?"
Right.
And it's awkward.
Yeah, because it's because manufacturers, which we really call publishers, that's an old word, are only a small portion now. It now represents the entire industry. That's very important.
I think
Gamma
this is a great move. Yeah.
Gamma represents, starting from the bottom up, it represents designers. It represents literally printers, manufacturers, the printers, we call them. It represents the publishers. It represents distributors, retailers. The only part it doesn't is it's not representative of the consumer, but
And
of
let's
course,
not forget media because they're now doing a special election for a new media representative to Gamma. Uh, with Monica Rasso leaving, she was taking that seat as well.
media, events, people who do events, that they're another portion. And every one of these gets a seat on the Gamma board. And they have special tracks at the Gamma Expo.
Yeah.
So Gamma has done so much more over the last couple of years than they did for the 5 or 10 years before that. And that was under the leadership of Nicole Brady, the president,
And
Monica
it
Razzo, and many
cannot
others.
be stated strong enough on what a change Nicole has brought to the leadership of Gamma. I really have a whole new view of Gamma. And I think what states it the strongest is Ignacy has been just sternly against Gamma for a very long time. I put Ignacy and Nicole Brady together at Essen a few years ago, and he thinks Gamma's not entirely bad.
Yes, I mean, and from his Slavicness, that's about as strong
That's
a
as good as
statement.
things get.
Yeah, it doesn't get any stronger than Gamma's not too bad. So, and a quick quote from John Stacy. John is the executive director, right? So he runs the operations, right? Essentially, they brought in he's mentioned here in his statements that they brought in a new chief operating officer. So he'll be working hand in hand. The executive director will work hand in hand with the chief operating officer, who is Melinda Prickett. And also, he mentions very succinctly that they are trying to become, and there's ways they're implementing this, truly a global organization. They're going to have people at some point, if soon, where there's people in Asia, people in Europe, and of course the people in North America at the headquarters, so that they can have, so that people who are in Asia, the people who are members and they want to build that membership, can speak directly to someone locally. And then if they need, they take that back to the main office kind of thing. So a true global organization. I applaud them a lot for getting to this point.
Absolutely. But I mean, the question all of our listeners really are asking, um, is there any recent news on Diamond Comics?
You are a segue monster, my friend. So before we do talk about the Diamond Comics stuff, did you realize last episode I had forgot to mention that we did not take a Diamond Comics article. We had nothing
Are
to
you
say about
sure? I
Diamond.
thought we had a Diamond
I'm pretty sure
comment.
last time, but this week on ICV2, it did mention that the fees in the Diamond comic case have now topped $15 million. Legal and consulting
Yeah.
fees in the Diamond comic distributor's bankruptcy case has now topped 15 million since the filing after a big August. The transactions to acquire most of the company's assets closed in May, but as we predicted last month, fees are not only continuing but actually increasing as a result of the various disputes in which Diamond is entangled.
The rough thing there is those fees have to be paid before anybody else entangled who's owed money from Diamond gets paid.
Yeah.
Those fees are the very top of the list.
Yeah, and we, well, we're not lawyers, and I I am not a lawyer, but if I was a lawyer, I'm not your lawyer. The kind of, they are the number one. Legal fees in the case are number one, and after that you get to the senior secured uh, debt people, if there were like bonds floated. And after that, you get to people who made loans, like JP Morgan Chase is owed like 42 million or something like that, I think we said.
Yeah.
And then the poor people who actually are owed money by the company, like publishers who had, Diamond was selling their stuff and they didn't end up paying them because they went into bankruptcy. So a sad slippery slope. More will be said on this without a doubt. Okay, final news story is something very interesting, I think. And this is from a CMON, not press release, but I've backed some CMON stuff that maybe, and some of it was just for $1, just to keep going and keep seeing what's going on.
Right.
And CMON asked for tariff money in their campaigns for Witching Hour and Dark Providence. Now, I don't believe I did either one of these, but I think this came out of my fact that I backed for $1 or something like that. The Deceased, that was the DC
Right.
Zombicide version, and they had this information in there as well. Witching Hour and Dark Providence, these are other campaigns, have been fully packed and are waiting to leave the warehouse. After much negotiation regarding logistics and freight shipping, we have sent out individual emails to affected backers to collect tariff charges required for delivery. Okay. It can be frustrating to be asked for additional charges after pledging, and we share that frustration. We have worked to ensure that backers are charged as little as possible, covering only a small portion of the total tariff expense. These tariffs, while not large in absolute numbers, represent costs for the pledge that we unfortunately cannot absorb given our current financial position. And this is the oddest part of this because
Yeah,
none,
the amount that they're asking for is really strange.
I mean, this is what they asked. At least this is what was in their email that I received. And it appears that this is the exact thing. They asked for people, every pledge, or yeah, I guess it was every pledge where people are getting something. They asked for 69 cents per pledge for people who pledge to Witching Hour. And for Dark Providence, $2.30 per pledge. So my two comments on this is that one, they are certainly being very specific, I guess fair, one would say, if that's the exact
Very
number.
odd.
If that's the exact number, well, they're being very fair. I don't know how people are going to send 69 cents on a credit card. I don't know. But anyway, they're asking for a very specific number. And the second thing is, which I'm saying is very fair, and they're not saying like, well, please give us $5 for each of these things, where they can just pocket the rest. And the other point is that how much does this mean to the company? I don't know how many people backed,
That's the thing. Let's say there's 10,000 backers,
which is more than there was. I
which is
guarantee you
a
this.
crazy number.
Right.
That's $7,000 total that they're collecting.
That would be right. 6,900 for Witching
Yeah.
Hour.
That's insane.
$2.30
Or
times.
let's say this is supposed to cover the 30% tariff. That says that it's a $21 um, manufacture cost.
Right. The Dark Providence is a little higher. And again, I doubt that they have, I would say it's got to be closer to 3,000 units. Maybe it was, let's say five. It
Yeah,
can't be
just the
10.
numbers don't quite make sense. They're just very weird
Yeah.
picks of numbers.
So 5,000, if it was 5,000 units and 260 was the actual pledge, that's $11,500. This company's in really bad shape if they can't foot these kinds of bills. And I feel bad. I don't say that in a mean way. CMON, I love you guys, but I feel bad that you need this small amount of money to keep the company flowing. I am a fan. I want to see this. Oh, I do have at least one crowdfunding campaign with them. I have like the next expansion for Dune, War for Arrakis, right? That I talked about. So like that one is in the pipeline somewhere. I'm happy to send them an extra $5 or whatever they need to get this game to me, that expansion to me. But good luck to them. I really want them to succeed. Nothing good can come out of CMON going bankrupt. And with
Hmm.
that, and with that, let's
And with
get
that,
to strategy and tactics. All right, we will skip the Ignacy question again that he was supposed to take this week. Um, and we'll get down to what is this next one from Lynn Webster in New Zealand. He's well, she is at VT Nut. What is the first game that introduced the concept of game expansion as opposed to variants on a theme a la Monopoly or modules included in the base box? The game expansion seems to be one of the aspects that distinguishes hobby games from mass market games.
that's
And at
very
some point,
interesting.
someone must have made a decision that consumers would understand and embrace such a concept. Yeah, I mean, that is a really, really interesting question. Do you have any idea where the
I
whole
I don't.
um
Uh, I mean, referring to Board Game Geek, there is uh, there's a discussion of this very subject on Board Game Geek,
oh,
and
really?
people are talking about the Monopoly Stock Exchange add-on from 1938, but it was not made by the people who made Monopoly.
Okay.
And then war games have a whole other thing where there would often be a war game system, and there'd be a bunch of expansions or add-ons to war games. So it's really difficult to come up with one.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, as Lynn mentioned, it's definitely a very hobby game oriented, right? War games, especially those 1970s style Avalon Hill
Well, in
bookshelf
the
things.
1960s, the war games were really big.
Right,
The other one that became really big in the 60s and 70s were sports board games, really, really stats-oriented sports war
right,
games.
right,
And those had a number of yearly updates because there were new people in the
yeah,
sport.
right.
So it's
Yeah,
a fuzzy past, and I honestly don't have a great answer. I am literally learning as I look at the BGG threads on it.
right. Yeah, I mean, I think that Lynn, without answering his own question or her own question, is has said basically this is hobby gaming, and uh, people who play Monopoly or Sorry, they're not looking to add on to things. You know, we want more, right? It is a cult of the new by definition. What
Sure.
we do, we want more, and often more just means let's let's get something cool that into something that we already did. That is really neat. I have screwed up the show notes here a little bit for some reason. All of a sudden, it's doing weird things. Doesn't matter. I'll figure that out later. Um, Dr. Vincenzo Alvarello, PhD, good buddy of mine, formerly from New Jersey, now from the great state of Minnesota, at Zacho Soldier. A friend has recently started a quest to find his favorite game from the COVID gap. What is the COVID gap? Those games that came out in 2019 to 2021 that were missed by the community or went a little under the radar. Some examples of COVID gap games have been Rajas of the Ganges and Praga Kaput Regine. Regini.
Regni. Yeah.
Regni. Thank you. Latin, I guess. It's kind of hard to define these, but a few questions stemming from this. Do you have any particular COVID gap games you enjoy showing people? Do you think this is a real thing? In 2035 or so, do you think this could be fertile ground for a publisher looking to build a catalog? Huh,
I
Corey?
mean, it's really funny. I've thought about this a lot, and Zacco Soldier, Vincenzo Avarello,
Alvarello.
has come up with pretty much the same games that I came up with as my favorite games that came out during the pandemic. Rajas the Ganges is from Inca and Marcus Brandt. I love their heavy Euro designs, and this is the most recent heavy Euro design the team has come up with, the previous ones being Village and Murano. And Praga Kaput Redny, of course, is Sushi, Vladimir Sushi. And this is, I think, one of his best. This is the follow-up to Underwater Cities. And he's had a whole bunch recently with Evacuation and things like that. But I do think that Praga Kaput Regni is one of his best. So I have trouble expanding further than the two that he's already brought up. They're absolutely magnificent choices for games from this time period.
Yes. So there's a second question that we're not going to be not giving very good answers for. But one of the things that I did think about recently is that I'm going to be betting that companies who released games during that time and they didn't do as well as they think they should have done will re-release them as a new game again, basically. Because if people didn't have the uptake during that, they can simply, and when I say re-release, I just mean start talking about them again. Do a little more marketing on them. Bring out a new expansion. Work with your distributor to say this is a very, very important re-release. That's a thing that people do when they are reprinting a game. They'll do a very important reprint, things like that. VIR. So I think that that's going to happen where games that fell under the
Yeah,
radar during this period of time and at any time basically are going to get extra marketing because, well, the stock is there. The
yeah,
game is great. It's a good time
yeah.
for this game.
One of the other parts of this question is it a real thing? And I have to argue here, no. We tend to be indoor exclusionary kind of people. When the pandemic hit, we often went to board games. We still consumed, we still ordered online, we still played our games. Let's not forget that some of these technically COVID gap year games were unknown hits like Wingspan, Dune Imperium, Marvel
Yeah.
Champions, Lost Ruins of Arnak. These did not suffer in the least little bit from
Yep.
being a gap year game.
Yep.
So, sure, there were some games ignored or missed during early COVID, but I don't think it had to do with COVID. That's a really weird thing to say, but I think it had more to do with we had games that came out and some just got missed. I mean, Maracaibo was a gap year game. There's a lot of 2019, 2020, 2021 games that are very, very, very well known.
Wow. Yeah. Yep. 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 Absolutely true. And and he mentions, 2035, could it be a fertile ground for a publisher? I think we're going to see, because we've been talking, we're going to see some
Yeah.
publishers that are going to go out. I mean, they're just
I,
going to,
I'm going
between
to say
this.
my favorite kind of unknown from that era is probably got to be Paleo, which is a really weird unknown because it won the Spiel. It won Kenner Spiel.
Yeah.
It's
And
a
then,
cooperative game, and lots of people kind of know it's out there but haven't played it. And I think it's a magnificent co-op.
yep. Yeah. That's a good one. And I agree that maybe in 2035, some of these games, or between now and then, is kind of my point, people are gonna either repick them up or remarket them as a newish kind of game.
Sure.
Sev Blex Blay, I guess. How's your French? Is your French good? Because he's from
My
France.
French is terrible.
Yeah. Seth Sev Blay. He's at Sev73. He says, "Hello, team. I have two questions regarding the constant news of Asmodee acquiring more and more companies these days. Yes, they're back
Ooh,
in that
not so
business.
much anymore.
Well, they're back in the business. They've been doing it, and this comes from
They've
June, but
said they're doing it, but I don't know what they've done
By the
since they
way,
said it.
it's a good time to mention that people should start thinking about putting up questions. This question is from the end of June. So we're only less than 2.5 months backlogged, so to speak. So you will get your question answered within a few episodes if you start putting questions up there. Just saying. Two questions regarding Asmodee acquiring companies. Number one,
Right.
what sort of companies do you think are possibly on the radar in the future? Medium sized, large, kid friendly. Two, if a company were to fit in that category that you've mentioned, how do you think they would react? With a feeling of dread and inevitability, or fingers crossed that they will get a call from them as it is the best thing that could ever happen to them? All right, so
Yeah,
I have strong opinions.
I have strong opinions as
All
well.
right, do you want to go first with your strong opinions or my strong opinions?
Sure. I think Asmodee is talking a mean game that they do want to pick up the acquisition process again, but I don't think they have the money to throw around that they used to. So I think they're going to be looking for small to medium sized, high profile, independent game publishers. And I think they're going to be split about 50-50 on whether they're thrilled to be acquired or whether they think they're doing pretty okay on their own. I think the big publishers, which were the target back before the whole Embracer kerfuffle, the big publishers are not within their reach anymore. And I think they're gun shy.
Um,
So
I mostly agree with that statement. I have it on very good authority, an inside source. I'm not going to say I can't even. I'm not even going to categorize the company as where it is on the spectrum of big, middle, this kind of game. That was a target in the Embracer years, but then when Embracer hit that bump in the road and they all of a sudden lost this big financing that was coming in from a Saudi organization, right? We reported extensively on that,
yep.
that they had to basically hit the brakes, and said company that was literally, they had a contract to be acquired or they were just doing the final negotiations on it. They basically said, no, we can't do this. And now Asmodee came back and said, would you like to continue talking? But the number is not as high. And they said, go F yourself. They did not say it like that.
They said no.
They said, no, the company is worth more now, not less. So when you come back with at least the last number, when we can talk about
Yes,
more. So that's one of those things that, and which is exactly what you said. Like they don't have the pockets that are as deep as they once had, apparently. But I think Asmodee could go out and raise the money to do it. In fact, I know they could. So it's really weird that they're taking that kind of stance, but it is what it is. Oh, and let's take this before we go. Let's take the second part of it. What do you think companies? How do you think companies feel when they get that call? Is it dread and inevitability, or is it the best thing that's ever? They have their fingers crossed, and it's the best thing that ever happened to them.
I think it's really split. A lot of small companies will see it as a dual-sided sword. They're going to get a lot of money and a lot of security, but they might lose creative control. And there is a history of acquired companies kind of falling apart after acquisition. I don't think Asmodee is the biggest culprit of this. I think a lot of Asmodee acquired companies have done relatively well.
Hmm.
Um, Days of Wonder still exists, is still putting out games at about the same rate, is still putting out high quality games. There's a number of these Asmodee acquired companies that I think have a very similar reputation as before they were acquired, but there are other horror stories out there of acquisitions turning bad.
There are certainly plenty of those, but everything I can see about Asmodee's acquisitions has always been they are actually very honorable people, and
Yes,
they treat the acquirer, the company they're trying to
E
acquire
inquiry.
very, very well throughout the process. Keep the principals on to the extent that they want to be kept on.
Exactly.
So they're a good acquirer. So all of you publishers out there, please listen to these words. If Asmodee gives you a call, while it's not a layup to say, of course I'm selling, consider it, think about it, work through the numbers. You must have an end game to your company. It's a very important principle in business. What is your end game? You saw that I did, and I did very well. and I'm okay. I'm very okay with having made the sale when I sold Stronghold. All right, we now I'm going really long. Somebody put up a thread about episode length in the guild. I haven't read it yet, so I gotta go check that out
I
later.
I think Corey actually adds to episode length and Ignacy shortens episode length. So what combination of people we have, I think is
Well,
part of it.
that might be it. But right now, we need to get to play testing. All right, buddy. So you, as usual, come up with the best questions. What did you come up with for last week's question? And we'll take the answers.
So I was curious when you attend conventions, what level of planning do you do? So the question is, at conventions or other gaming events or gatherings, do you sign up for games in advance or you just wing it in open gaming? And does it depend on the size of the event? Myself personally, I am a wing it person. I am terrible at planning. I don't know that I've ever signed up for an event at a convention.
Yep. And we got a very interesting, got a lot of posts, more than a page. I love to see when we get more than one full page. Evan Halbert says, I almost never sign up for anything and usually just see where my day takes me.
Good friend Evan. Just saw him at
Yep.
QSCon.
Oh, very good guy. Really good guy. Maybe I'll see him at BGG Con. That's where he usually goes, though he might be at PAX with you. Timo Boerdam from the Netherlands. Normally, I don't sign up for anything, and I'll check at the venue itself. However, when Yellow posted their unmatched tournament at Essen Spiel this year, I had to make an exception. Got to get me some of those wins and maybe a couple of practice games beforehand. So good stuff. Anything striking your
uh,
fancy?
Peter Woken, very much same mindset. I don't believe that I've ever signed up to play a specific game at any convention. You go, Peter.
It's that seems to be by far the biggest thing. It's the I Love Winging It by James D. Walking around a convention is a wonderful feeling of community. It's great to find a game you've never heard of, and there's an open seat for you to learn the new game and make new friends. That's how I have dozens of friends across the country now, including you guys. Oh, very
I
nice
actually
friends.
remember you signed me up for an event at Gen Con. We went to the Twilight Inscription
Oh yeah,
demo. Um,
that
so I'm going
was
to count that
last
as
year,
I did not sign up. No, it was 2 years ago
two
or
years ago.
three, 2 to 3.
Okay,
You're getting them all mixed up.
they all blend.
So, Paul Marchbonk's a good friend
Yeah.
of the channel. I don't usually sign up for events. What me and my buddies do is typically find one of the private gaming rooms and camp out there for most of the convention as it's less noisy and we can bring snacks to the table. This has made us all realize that what we need to likely do is just have a regular cabin cons at Airbnb locations. It would be cheaper and we would probably get more games played and more comfortable. I think that leans more towards smaller conventions as well, where you camp out at a table with your friends.
So
One of the more brilliant things that my Tinker Gnome Barry has told me over the years is at conventions, you either play a new game with old friends or you play an old game with new friends.
pretty good. So my favorite answer here, I think. I mean, I'm trying to pick ones from people who don't answer some of our questions often. I believe Aaron Pope maybe he has in the past, but I see his answer here is very particular. He says, this order of operations works for me as a solo attendee. One, sign up for available learn to play sessions as a tentpole item on the schedule. Everything else will coalesce around these. Two, pre-schedule some plays for time-intensive games. If the event doesn't have learn to plays, these become the tentpoles. Three, find pickup games scheduled during the convention. I've had great fun both with planned and impromptu sessions. Having a skeleton plan provides anticipation for specifically desired experiences, while winging it for the rest of it, the time can lead to unexpected joy. Very, very good stuff.
Yeah, Guido Van Horn, I have to show from the other side, the non-wing it side. I will make a list of games I'm hoping to play, especially if it's an event that doesn't have a good library and I'm reliant on what I or others bring. But then I show up and do whatever strikes my fancy at the moment. So hitting right at that in between of having a to-do list and signing up if necessary.
Very cool. So, Corey, as usual, you have come up with a lovely question for next week. I really do like it. What did you come up with for us for next week?
Did I come up with this? This
Yes,
this
I
this
added to
looks
it.
like this looks like a Steven thing because it has 100 sub
No,
questions.
no, this is yours, unless Ignacy did it. But I added, you had A, B, C, D, and then I added E, F, G, H. So,
That's too many
no,
options.
well, that's people are going to answer it the way.
I
Just
know.
read the darn question for God's sakes. Go.
As we get closer to the spiel in Essen, we'd like to ask you, our audience, the most knowledgeable amongst us, what is the biggest draw of a board game convention for you? Is it access to new or early board games? Is it access to more game players? Is it access to rare or old board games? Is it the shopping? Is it seeing friends? Is it going on a vacation? Or maybe something else? What is your primary draw of board game conventions?
Yeah, I really do love this question because, I mean, and again, I mentioned, you know, select, I said in the end, and I put that in the thread, select one or as many, but discuss. For me, I think the real big thing for me is just seeing friends.
Yeah.
And maybe something that's sort of not here, but maybe it is here kind of, is like literally being part of the community, like us bunch of geeks getting together to celebrate this next
Oh,
cool event.
absolutely.
I just really enjoy the vibe. Is a good way of putting it. Every time I go to a board game convention, it makes me just a little more happy in this really crazy, messed up world that we live in.
Hmm.
How
Very
about you?
true.
How about you,
Very
sir?
true. Uh, I got into this industry to peek behind the curtain. I love the process. I love seeing new, exciting, brand new, hearing about it first. So for me, number one is new early board games. Number two, without a doubt, seeing friends. There's a whole bunch of people I only see at conventions. Three, shopping. I am a very good consumer. Four is rare or old board games, and I think that ties in with shopping. Uh, and going on vacation a little bit, I really don't have any draw to more game players because everyone I see as a game player, everywhere
Yeah,
I go,
yeah,
there are game players, and it's all friends for me.
yep.
So that's my ranking.
Very cool. Well, I've just created a thread because Corey is incapable of putting these things
I
on Board
can't
Game
do
Geek. He
computers.
can. He's
Yeah,
not a good guy at computers. For
no,
you to
no.
answer this question, and then we'll maybe take your answer next week. So please go to the Guild on Board Game Geek and find our playtesting thread for this question and answer it. And now, the final scoring. Thank you so much for listening and help us spread the word about this podcast by telling your friends to download Board Games Insider wherever they like to get their podcasts or watch Board Games Insider on the Podfather of Gaming YouTube channel. Do you want to be part of this podcast? You can. Go to the Guild on Board Game Geek. Make sure you remember, ask us questions for strategy and tactics, answer our question to you from playtesting. It's easy. I know you can do this. Please interact with us on social media, and the handle is the same everywhere you want to be on social media: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, YouTube. Pick the one or more that you like, and we're there. It's at Board Games Insider, Portal Games US, Podfather Gaming, Dice Tower Dish, Play to Z Games, and Above Board TV. Follow us wherever you like to. And that special call out to the YouTube channels Portal Games Studio, the Podfather of Gaming, and Above Board TV. We really would love to see you in person at an upcoming convention. So come talk to us. Essen will be your next big chance, and we really, at the times at the Play to Z booth, that I'll be there. Please come over to me. You'll find Corey walking around, wandering. Maybe he'll come over to Play to Z. Definitely will be in Portal Games for a little bit too. So let's do that. This podcast was professionally edited by Jake Thompson. Thank you for being part of the team, Jake. And that beautiful voice you hear doing the intro, the outro, the in between segments is that of Ray Greenlee. And he can be contacted to do your voiceover work at raygreenleevoiceover.com. Corey, anything that you have left to talk with? Wow, this is a very long episode.
I just real quick, Shem Phillips and his team over at Garfield Games are some of my favorite designers, publishers, and they've been teasing for a long time a secret project, uh, new game that was unannounced. I actually got to play it, watch a play of it at my house over the past week, and it has just been announced as Secret Societies, and it is a really interesting engine building bidding game where all of the secret societies in the world are bidding for control over the countries of the world. Um, I'm excited. I wanted to talk about this when I played it, but it was still under hush hush. But now it's announced, so I just wanted to throw that out there and send a congratulations to Shem.
It actually replaced Dogs of War as the number one in the hotness on Board Game Geek.
I'm
So,
sorry.
so make sure. Yes, why? How could you do that to us, Shem?
I
No,
know.
well, you can go check out Shem's new game, but also go check out Dogs of War, please, please, for the small company, which you will love that game. I guarantee it. Everybody, thank you so much for being part of this podcast. We'll see you next week. Ciao.
See you later, everyone.